morning and happy Easter to all of you. It's so very good to see all of you here this morning. My name is Reverend Ed, and I am the minister here, and our choir is here, and you all are here, and we are ready to celebrate this very important holiday in the Christian tradition. Before we do that, a couple quick announcements. First, I'd like to welcome, you're upstaging Charlie during my welcome. I would like to welcome Charlie Tran. Charlie is substituting for Artem today. And where might Artem be these days? Italy?
He's in Italy for a concert of the competition that he won.
Yeah.
Got the special award. Yeah.
He's being all special in Italy today is what he's doing. But thank you, Charlie, for coming and helping us this morning. We appreciate it. Lunch Bunch is continuing this morning, and we are going to, for those of you who are a little new around here, Lunch Bunch is an informal gathering of folks. We leave after the service. Some of us will go and have lunch together, and today lunch is at Jason's Deli, which is Westheimer, and at the end of Bering, just turn right. If you're willing to go, if you're interested in going, we'd love to see you there today. Between Lunch Bunch and the end of the service, we will have coffee in the gathering space. Please feel free to gather with us and have conversations about the service as well. And lastly, if you are still a little new around here and would like us to know a little bit more about you, or for you to know a little bit more about us, there is a yellow card in your pew. You can fill out the card. We will put you on a mailing list to which we will send 2 emails per week, we promise. Not 20 or 30, just 2, so that you know what's going on here at Emerson during the week to come to help you feel part of this community. And that's all we have for announcements this morning. We hope you will engage in the life of this congregation, and we hope you have a wonderful Easter celebration here with us today and as the day goes on. And now I invite Charlie to bring us into the sacred part of our service and our time together. Charlie?
As we gather in community, we look within ourselves to each other for strength, restoration, and inspiration, so that as we journey together, we catch the spark of the eternal Spirit, and from that spark, we light our chalice flame. Lighting the chalice flame symbolizes to all that the spirit of our congregation is strong, and that our will to transform ourselves and the world is also strong. We light the flame with gratitude. We light the flame in memory of all who have gone before, in honor of all who are here now, and with joy for all who are yet to come. As Dory Wolf lights our chalice flame here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light a candle or chalice of your own. Today we hear words from our second source, words and deeds of prophetic people. This month, our chalice lighting words come from author and namesake of this very congregation, Ralph Waldo Emerson, whose friends called him Waldo. Waldo lived from 1803 until 1882. He was a Unitarian minister, essayist, lecturer, philosopher, abolitionist, and poet. He led the transcendental movement of the mid-19th century. He was seen as a champion of individualism and critical thinking. German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche considered him the most gifted of the Americans, and American poet Walt Whitman referred to him as his master. Please join me in reading the words together as they appear on the screen. To be summed up in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. As we work to create a beloved community, we welcome all who would join us in building a better world with more love, more justice, and more peace. We welcome all who would join us growing in mind, heart, and spirit. We welcome all who would join us in tearing down systems of oppression of all kinds. We welcome all who would join their purposes to ours in a loving spirit, a right relationship. Please join me in our welcoming. The words are on the screen. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here.
Okay. My friends, we are going to light our candle of joy and remembrance this morning. This is a tradition that we have at this congregation when one of us moves on or dies. And this morning we are sad to report that friend of this congregation, long-term friend of this congregation, Henry Groppe, has died. Henry was here for years and also at First Church. And Henry had a scholarship named after him here and was quite well known in this community. He died this week at the age of 98. So I would like to light this candle in Henry's memory and then have us pause for a moment of reflection. If you knew Henry, please take this time to think about Henry. And if you didn't know Henry, take this moment to reflect on the presence and absence of a loved one in your community. We wish Henry's family love in this time of transition, and we hope that Henry is welcomed in as an ancestor. And now I welcome you to stand or to stay seated, but if you would, please help us sing our first hymn. Our first hymn is number 21 in your gray hymnal, and we're going to use an organ. I'm just saying that. We're going to use an organ. It's going to sound a little churchy in here for a minute. You'll be all right. As you all know, Easter is one of the most sacred of Christian holidays. Although we are not, as some people might wish to be true, a Christian nation, we do have a culture that is based largely on Christianity. All of the holidays on the Christian traditions, Easter in its original form, minus the chocolate eggs and Easter bunnies, is one that, in my opinion, is the most universal, the most known throughout different traditions in the world, through different cultures, through different religions, and the one that is most alive in the hearts of humankind. So today, in two sections of our service this morning, we will travel oh so briefly through the days of Holy Week that our Christian siblings travel each year. We will journey from the gates of the city on Palm Sunday to the cross on Good Friday to the empty tomb on Easter Sunday. This telling was created by Reverend Molly Hausch Gordon, who currently serves Unitarian Universalism as our minister in Columbia, Missouri. In these words, which she calls "At the Gate," she has imagined something about the experience of Jesus' followers who were there at the time, through this time of hope, and through this time of despair, and through this time of wonder. As Unitarian Universalists, we approach stories like this not in pursuit of fact or doctrine or dogma, but in pursuit of wisdom about the human condition and the nature of the holy. We are going to hear the Easter story told from the perspective of what it must have felt like to be there, watching Jesus' ministry and the ordeal of his last week. The story of the entrance into Jerusalem of a religious leader named Jesus. By the way, he probably would have called himself Yahshua Bar Joseph, and his ordeal there, and that resulted in his execution and his resurrection and the manifestation of the Jewish God Yahweh here on earth. No matter your belief, I would ask you to listen to it, to hear the humanity in it, and to imagine the ordeal of this man, of his friends, and of those around him during this week. And also try to put yourself in the shoes of those who find eternal insight in this story. So I invite you to enter into this ancient story with a searching wonder of spirit. Our story begins at the ancient gates of the city of Jerusalem. It is told that on Palm Sunday, Jesus entered the city riding a donkey, to the cheers of people who greeted him as king. This day of celebration marks the beginning of what we now know as Holy Week, a week which takes observers through the story of Jesus' last days, Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, and finally, what we celebrate today, Easter. He came in on a donkey, but we greeted him as king. The crowd was huge that day, as though all of Jerusalem's poor, tired, downtrodden had flooded into the streets. They had risen up from the streets where they laid. They had risen up waving palms. They had put down our only coat to shield him in the mud. We had heard about him, you see, his miracles of healing, his acts of love. We had heard how he touched the lepers, eaten with the poor, turned over the tables in the temple. We knew he had come to preach peace and justice. We thought he had come to save us. Can you imagine a hope like that? You are desperate. You are starving. You are praying for relief. And here he comes. Here he comes, and he is everything. He is loving and kind. He is righteous, and he is angry. He is humble, and he is powerful. And he cares. He cares about us. the outcast, the prisoner, the lowest of the low. Can you imagine a hope like that? No, this cannot be. The man who came in like a king, our hero, trudging forward like a common thief, spat upon, insulted, betrayed. He carries our hopes, our dreams, our needs, and now he carries a cross. Bruised, bloodied, weak. How could he be beaten? How could he fail us? How could we fail him, standing by, helpless, or urging them on? No, it cannot be. We are not to blame. We are too powerless. We are too small. We watched them mock our hope with a crown of thorns, and then they brought out the nails. This is when I turned away. I couldn't watch, but I could hear. Father, forgive them, he said as he died. That's what broke me. Father, forgive them, with his last breath. And we say, Father, forgive us. And now, as we leave this telling of this timeless story, I would invite our choir to bring us special music. This music is a celebration of spring, as is the Easter celebration itself, a celebration of spring, a celebration of potential of change and potential for beauty in the world.
For the earth forever.
Emerson collects an offering each week, like many other communities of faith, but our offering is not for our church, which is supported by the annual pledges of our members. We collect our Sunday offering to give to others because we know that giving is both a transformative spiritual act and an important way to live our values. 75% of today's offering will go to our March Share the Plate recipient, Hope Farms. We were so happy to have Crystal from Hope Farms with us last week to tell us how they are living out their values and how their values align with our important mission. The remaining 25% of today's offering will go to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, which provides thousands of meals every day to Houston's homebound seniors. You can go to our webpage for online giving, put cash or check in our offering baskets, or mail a check to the church.
This is normally the part in our service where we sit in meditation for a few minutes, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to instead hold a flower communion. Historians don't actually know what time of year Jesus was executed, but most of them think it was in spring at some point. And most of Christianity does not hold to that precise date of Jesus' execution being essential to their faith, but that does not make it unknowable or not important. The fact that Jesus was executed in spring probably accounts for its merger with the pagan celebration of Ostara, which was named after a god, Ostara, which happens at the spring equinox, which was just a couple days ago, right? The holiday was named after a god called Ostara and traditionally called Estera by the Anglo-Saxons, and that god bears a striking similarity to the Canaanite moon god of Astarte, all of which we believe the name Easter derives from. It is at this time, during this time in the pagan celebration, that the horned god Ostara was born again, resurrected to wed the goddess, and in a never-ending wheel of seasons. There it is, born again. The name and the meaning of the holiday merge into one thing, spring and Easter. It was at that time of year that the Czech-American Unitarian Universalist minister named Norbert Kopek, I pronounce that wrong every time, and his wife Maya, they created a flower communion in which we are about going to share. Norbert's mother was a devout Catholic, his father agnostic. He became an acolyte, an altar boy, at the age of 10 in 1890 at St. Martin's Catholic Church. In the years that followed, he became disillusioned. At 18, Norbert discovered the Baptists and became a minister. He founded almost a dozen churches in Ukraine and Budapest. Slowly, his faith became more and more liberal. He left Bohemia under government threat and accepted a call to serve a Baptist church in New York City until one day in 1919, at the age of 49, he wrote in his diary, "I cannot be a Baptist anymore, not even in compromise. The fire of new desires, new worlds is burning inside me." And there they are. There's Norbert and Maya. A few years later, Norbert and Maya joined a Unitarian church in New Jersey. As World War II ended, his home country, Czechoslovakia, now independent, he and Maya returned. His Unitarian church was called the Prague Liberal Religious Fellowship, and in just 20 years had 3,200 members. It was there in 1923 that he developed this flower ceremony. He asked his congregants to bring a flower to church from their gardens. Your minister forgot to do that, so your minister brought flowers for you. I'm sorry about that. And from the roadside. And he invited each person to place a flower in a vase, which we are going to do with you in just a moment. There was a church community no less unique for being united. Following the service, each person would take a flower from the vase, different from the flower that they put into the vase. Kopek was a visionary minister with a church ahead of its time. He was bold. The church was bold, a church that was thinking beyond its doors, beyond what it thought was possible. It was a church that was willing to take risks, to make tough decisions, to bear disappointment, and to build a new way. First, by building a church, and that church could build up the world. That was Kopek's church. For this vision, the Gestapo arrested him in 1942 and sent him to Dachau, where he held flower communions. with his fellow prisoners. Finding whatever flowers they could amongst the weeds of the camp, they testified to a beauty larger than themselves and a love that would outlive them. The Nazis killed Kopek later that year, but his spirit, courage, and commitment live on today in this flower communion. Those qualities have passed on to us now to make them real. His wife, Maya, brought the flower communion with her to the Unitarian Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1940. What we are about to do is not an historical reenactment of something overdone, but an affirmation of our continuity with the generations of struggle for ever-widening liberty. This flower ceremony, lovely as it is not a diversion from ugly reality, but a gentle fierceness which proclaims, in the midst of sinister days, there is always the light of beauty. We are not here to recall something that happened, but to remember something that is happening, to remember, to put back together again. And in that remembering, may we put ourselves back together again, each as part of the body of this community, one out of many. Today, we celebrate this ritual with solemnity and with joy. As Kopek asked his people to bring a flower, so shall we. So now I invite you, I hope you all were able to get a flower on your way in. If you weren't, we have more. I would ask you, as our choir will play and sing De Colores, I would ask all of you to sing De Colores too. The words will be on the screen. And as you can, as you feel comfortable while singing, come forward and put your flower in the vase, and we will create a bouquet of all of these flowers that you have with you in your pews this morning.
All the colors, yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. All the colors, when the sunlight shines out through the rift in the cloud and it showers. All the colors, as the rainbow appears when a storm cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the colors of people parading about with the banners. All the colors, yes, the colors of banners and streamers and rooms and bandanas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the black and the white and the red and the brown and the yellow. All the colors of people who smile and shake hands and say hello. All the colors, yes, the colors of people who know that their freedom is won. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de fuera. De
The words for our second reading today are the continuation of the story, At the Gates, from Reverend Molly House Gordon. And now he is gone. The hands that healed us, the ears that heard us, the heart that beat for us, he is gone. He gave us hope. He gave us purpose. He loved us, and he is gone. Weeping may last for a night. Weeping may last for 1,000 nights. But joy comes in the morning. That morning, we went to our beloved teacher's tomb. We went to anoint his body. We carried oil and cloths. We came to the tomb in sorrow, heads bowed low. But hope does not die so easily. It flickers inside, somewhere buried deep. Hope grows, blossoms like a rose, even through stone, even in hearts frozen by grief. When we arrived at the place where he lay, we dropped all that we carried in wonder, in fear, to see the tomb laid open and our beloved gone. "Do not weep," said the man. "This morning we rejoice. Love lives. Hope lives. Jesus is not here," he said. "Come and see."
So, it seems to me that I was trying to think. I think every single Unitarian Universalist homily or sermon I've ever heard about Easter was about the rebirth, was about the springing forward, was about the joy of springtime and how everything emerges anew. It was a sermon about hope. And I think if I've heard that, I'm sure that all of you have heard that same sermon over and over and over again as well. And it is an important sermon. I think that there is some joy about Easter. It's a confusing holiday, isn't it? Because we talk about the execution, the gruesome execution and the injustice that led to this execution of this person. We talk about that, and we talk about this particularly vile way in which he died, and yet it is a celebration of joy, Easter is. That's why they coupled it with springtime, right? Springtime is a celebration of joy. But I'd like to pause for a moment, and I'd like to roll back the tape just a few minutes to the part where Jesus dies, to the part that I call sacred destruction. There is something sacred in the destruction. The Judeo-Christian idea of time, the, quote, Western idea of time, is linear. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. You live, you're born, you live, you die. That's the Judeo-Christian notion of time. But the further east you go, the more circular the notion of time becomes. And what happens is the end, that destruction period, is linked in the minds, in the religious minds of these people. That destruction period is linked with a time of new birth. In other words, something has to end for something else to begin. There has to be a death of something, an end of something, termination of something. We see this most clearly in the Hindu Chamurti, right? So in what we call Hinduism, which is not one religion, right? You know that. It's a whole bunch of religions that the British got too lazy and just called it Hinduism in one block. So we have these religions, and these religions all basically believe that there is one God, And that God manifests itself in different ways. And the primary manifestation of that God here on earth is in the Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the God of creation, the God of maintenance, and the God of destruction. You're born, you live, you die. Creation, maintenance, destruction. You would think, from a Western perspective, you would think that the most popular of those gods is probably the creation God, right? That's the one that the Judeo-Christian tradition honors, is the creation God. Oddly, though, the most popular god in all of Hinduism is the destruction god, Shiva. Why is that? Well, I think it has to do with this need for something to change, this need for something to move forward, for something to go away so that something else can move forward. And I think that there is something very, very sacred in the end of something that Western tradition tends to avoid talking about or refuse to talk about. There's another thing that happens right now, and it's a very, very smart timing, and that is the holiday. It's a new holiday. I don't know if we're calling it a new holiday, but the celebration of trans visibility, right? And trans visibility is holding on to that, because with a trans person, there is a time where one person stops being and another person starts being. Now, that's not all the time true, but that is a lot of the times true, right? So there's a visibility there. There's a visibility of, I want you to see the new. I want you to see me. I want you to see what's new. The Christianity held out that Christianity, and this is a point of argument, I'm not making a political statement here, but Christianity held out that in the death of Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus, a new religion was created, a new way of looking at life. Some people would say Judaism was changed, some people would say it was not changed. I'm not here to argue that point. I'm just saying that the notion that something new came out of something old, something gone, something destroyed, something holy to the god Shiva. So I would ask you today on Easter to look at what in your life has stopped, what has changed, what is different, and not to pass judgment on it. Don't be sad about it. Don't be happy about it. Just look at it and say, this no longer is. Some of you have retired. You are no longer a professional person. You no longer have an office to go to. You know, some of you are smiling. Some of you I know who are smiling are on the verge of retiring. But this is a big change. Some of you have children who have moved out of the house. This is a big change. This is a change to the family. Some of you have children who have moved into the house. This is a big change. These are all changes that happen in your life that signify, and most of these changes you will find come coupled with some destruction of something and some creation of something else. So this holiday, this beautiful holiday of Easter, this complex holiday of Easter, this holiday where when you explain it to you ever try to explain Easter to a Japanese person or someone who was not Christian? They're like, wait a minute, he died, what, you're happy? Why are you happy? It sounds awful. But there is that sacred destruction, that Shiva reigning, that is part of our lives, each and every one of our lives. It is part of each and every one of our days almost, that we cannot avoid, and yet we try to avoid it, don't we? We work really hard to pretend it's not there. We work really hard to pretend that it doesn't affect us. It's okay that it affects you. It's okay. Because it's okay that it exists. You did not expect to be the same you at 77 as you did at 17, did you? Some of you who are not 77, change the numbers. You did not expect to be the same person at, help me, 47 as you were at 7. Whatever works for you. You are not the same person. You never were expected to be the same person, but why did you plan on being the same person? What made us think that way was our culture. Our culture wants us to feel inferior. Don't let it. You are beautiful with all of your changes and all of your endings and all of your beginnings. They are all there, wrapped up inside of you, and you are beautiful for it. And this congregation is beautiful for it. Think of all the changes that this congregation has gone through just in the past 10 years. And this congregation is beautiful for it. And it is in the sacred destruction. Not the unsacred. You know, there is some just waste, right? There's some things that it's hard to find the sacred in certain destructions. But in certain things, we can look at them and we can see Shiva operating. We can see the story of Easter working in our lives. And I hope that you can see it in your lives for what it is, a sacred moment of turning, of passing, and of becoming something new. Sure, we celebrate the newness because it's easy to celebrate the newness, but don't discount what is gone because it's important too. Amen? Happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter. And now I welcome us into singing our second. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I forgot a whole part of the sermon. Wait, stop. I forgot something very important. I want to show you how they celebrate this destruction in Spain. Oh, I forgot to. You're going to love this part. Very quickly, okay? When I lived in Spain, there's a celebration in the town of Valencia, city of Valencia, which most people think is totally nuts. And I'm going to show it to you. It's a whole week, and it ends on San Jose. It ends on the date of St. Joseph's Day. And it's called Las Fallas. Has anybody ever heard of Las Fallas? Oh, good. Okay. So they build these things out of paper mache. If you can see the people standing down, just to give you some idea of the scope. See the people standing down in the corner? That's the size of this thing. And there are maybe 200 of these in the city. Every corner, every neighborhood builds one of these things. So there's one. Go to the next slide. This one is in Ayuntamiento. This is in Plaza Mayor. This is in the main square, right by City Hall. This is the one the city did. And you can see, right? And there's political ramifications to it. There's a lot of times there's little statements in there that you can see if you're local. And you can see the crowd gathered around this one, just to give you some idea of the scope, right? And then what they do, they spend all year doing this on San Jose, on St. Joseph's Day. And then what they do on the last day, on St. Joseph's Day, go to the next slide, they light them all on fire. All at once. And go to the next slide. And they stand there and they watch them burn until there's nothing left. Sacred destruction. As an American, I didn't get that they were going to light them on fire. Like, I didn't understand that. And they started lighting them on fire, and you could see, you could see from block to block, you can see them, right? And they just stood around them singing songs. Sacred destruction, Shiva at work. And I said to the people that I knew there, I said, what the hell? And they said, well, we need to get rid of them so we can start making next year's. Because we don't have space to store them. So we get rid of them. And when I think of sacred destruction of Easter, I think of Las Fallas. And if you ever have a chance to get to Valencia for Las Fallas, they're in a couple other little towns too, but mostly in Valencia, I would invite you. And they stand around in their traditional dress like this, singing songs while they burn down to nothing. It is the most exciting experience. And then the firecrackers. The week before is a little crazy, but it's like Mardi Gras on steroids. But anyway, so that is what I wanted to show you for sacred destruction and bring some joy into sacred destruction. Now we can sing.
Good morning. In keeping with the idea of destruction, and renewal, I'm here to invite you to a party. We are restarting circle dinners we're having a gathering on this coming Saturday in Westwood Hall. Now, some of you are looking at me like, what's a circle dinner? And that's what I'm here to tell you about. BC, that's before COVID, we had circle dinners where we gathered in small groups on a Saturday evening about every other month. And they were potluck. But don't let that scare you. Some people got really creative and brought little cheese appetizers that looked like ladybugs. Other people brought dinner rolls or a beverage to share. So the food was always great, but what really mattered was sitting around a table with other Emersonians. And so that's what I want you to think about. You know, when I would go to those, I always knew a few people, but the evening was a night to enlarge my circle of friends. So that's what we're going to get started with this coming Saturday night, April 6th, 6 p.m., over in Westwood Hall. And it's potluck again, but you're invited to bring whatever you would like to share, and even if you don't have time to do that, come. It's about widening our circle, widening the circle at Emerson. There's a sign-up sheet out in the gathering place, and we would like to know if you're coming, but just come. Just help us widen Emerson's circle. So I hope we see you there next Saturday night.
Thank you, Carol. And thank you to Ann May, who was the worship associate this morning, who I forgot to introduce earlier. Ann worked very hard on this service and works very hard here in the congregation, and we thank her, and we thank you today, Ann. Thank you very much. My friends, each time we come together, we move. We move with the words we hear, we move with the music we hear, we move with the light of the chalice, which, like us, flickers and flutters from side to side, moving constantly, yet tethered to its source. I would like to invite Dory to come and extinguish our chalice now. We are so grateful for all of your presence this morning. We are grateful for those of you who are with us here in the sanctuary. We are grateful for all of those of you who are joining us on Facebook this morning or YouTube. We look forward to hosting you all again here in the sanctuary and on YouTube again soon. And let me leave you with these words. I just want to say one thing before I do that, and that is, how does everybody feel about maybe gathering in front of the bouquets to take a picture before we dismantle them? Okay, if you're willing. If you're not, don't worry. We won't watch as you scamper out. But if we can come and have you maybe stand behind the picture, behind the flowers. Yeah, bouquets, thank you. And then what we'll do is the end of the flower communion is everybody takes a flower as they leave. But I think we have more flowers than we need for everybody to take one. So everybody can take, are there more still in the narthex? There are still more in the narthex. So please leave here with some flowers, folks. That's what I'm asking you to do. Take 1 or 2 flowers home with you. And as we gather here, let me just leave you with these words. May the celebration of resurrected life bring you new hope. May the Jewish victory over slavery in Egypt and even the Easter victory over death turn your eyes toward new hope. May the imagery of the empty tomb help you to understand your sorrows in a new way. And may you go forth in your days, not shunning or avoiding your unpleasant experiences, but rather bring them with you as a symbol of strength and orient you toward joy and wholeness. So now, everybody willing, if we would, and we're going to, do we want to play music while we take the picture? Because you can't hear music on a picture, right? No, let's do that. Let's play music. Let's play music while we take a picture. Everybody willing, come take a picture, please. We'd love to have you. Even if you're new around here, we'd love to have you take a picture. And then you can get coffee, I promise. Amen.